YouTubers, hi, I'm back with 24 books of 2024 and it's called Cold Hearted by Serena Valentino, book 8 of the twisted villain stories, if you will. Okay, so come out in 2021, this one did, as part of the Villain's Tales. Right, so this one is interesting. Now, when it comes to Disney villains, the Wicked stepmother, she's always kind of overlooked. Unlike a lot of the villains, she's not magical. Her abuse is psychological. And I personally, though, I'm biased because I personally think she's awesome because her and Maleficent have the same voice artist, Eleanor Audley. Right, so actually, there's a story behind that. She was originally in 1950 the voice of the Wicked Stepmother, and then almost 10 years later, Disney contacted her and said, I've written this character called Maleficent. She is the Sleeping Beauty. She's the Wicked Queen, not Wicked Queen, sorry. She's the, she puts a curse on Sleeping Beauty Aurora, and I want you to play her. You'll be perfect for her. I had you in mind when she was being created. At the time, Anna already had tuberculosis and actually refused. She went, I can't do it. I'm very, very ill with tuberculosis and I'm recovering right now. And he was like, fine, then I'll wait for you to get better. I will wait for you to get better because you're my first and only choice for Maleficent. And say what I want about Sleeping Beauty, but you've got to love a good Disney villain, especially a good female Disney villain. Kind of get the claws into it. So, anyway, this book is interesting because, first of all, the book 8 in the series based on something called the Fairy War. Now, that went over my head because I got no idea. These are characters I've met. One's called Cersei. It's like this kind of fairy war going on in the background. Went over my head. This is a story, okay, about a woman who was abused by her husband. Yes! As a story, okay, of the Wicked Stepmother. Interesting too because I was curious. Okay, now a lot of the Disney characters don't really have names. I mean, thanks to a CD-ROM game, the Beast has been called Prince Adam. Is kind of stuck. Actually, Pedro Harmer, who voiced Belle, has referred to the Beast as Adam. So characters come to do the live action as well. They're calling Prince Adam. So it's practically canon by now. He's Prince Adam, and that's what I consider him as. You have the Wicked Queen in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, who's basically been called Grimhild or Grimhilda. Charming is Prince Prince Florian. Okay, sorry. The prince is Prince Florian, who's called it in supplementary material. So that kind of thing. This I actually looked up on the Disney Wikia. She is just called the Wicked Stepmother or the Stepmother or Madonna, okay, at one point as well, due to supplementary information. She doesn't have a name. She doesn't even have a name in this, okay? So, but anyway, let's just start with the review. It's supposed to be Lady Tremaine's fairy tale ending. So where did it all go wrong? Everyone thinks they know about Cinderella's stepmother, the cruel and cold-hearted woman who made her stepdaughter a servant in her own home. But do they? Discover a tale of grief, hope, and lost love as the tragic true story of Lady Tremaine is finally revealed, and it's horrific and heartbreaking. This is a story, okay, about an emotionally abused woman. You get stuck in a fairy tale. I guess we're making with her husband, who's Sir Richard, by the way. In this, that's Cinderella's father, is an emotionally abusive, gaslighting prick. Okay, so it starts off with Lady Tremaine not having a name. Okay, but it starts off okay with the Tremaines. Okay. Here we are. Right. Not too long ago, and rather far away, but still within the many kingdoms, there was a Mold-Renowned chateau. The chateau had two distinguishing attributes. The first and most remarkable was that Cinderella, the Queen of the Land, once called this strange Bavarian place her home. The second was that it was the subject of wild rumours that it was haunted by Lady Tremaine and her two daughters. Right. So what has happened, okay, is these three women are under a curse. They are under a curse. It actually even makes clear, okay, what kind of man Sir Richard was to his entire family. Apart from Cinderella. Cinderella could do no wrong. Oh, yes. Right. Oh, this book has... Sir Richard is an absolute monster. Absolute monster. And basically, if Lady Tremaine actually killed him, I wouldn't even surprise me. I wouldn't blame him one bit. Right. Cinderella's father did think much beyond the care of his daughter when he chose his new wife. It suffered making sure she was a lady from a good family, well respected in the community, and she had a large dowry. The lady seemed like the perfect choice, really. She was a stately looking woman, still rather handsome. Most importantly, she had a fortune of her own, which of course would become his upon their marriage. So Sir Richard only married her, okay, only married her for her money, which he then took. As soon as the many kingdoms, which by the way, the many kingdoms is basically like a, well, okay, it's like Disneyland. Each realm a kingdom, okay. That's it, okay. So you got Belle and the Beast here, you got Cinderella here, you got Sleeping Beauty here, you got yeah. You know how in Descendants, right? Oh yeah, Descendants. I've got a quick back Descendants, okay, where um essentially they revived the dead fairy tale creatures and people, and then showed them on an island, sealed it, okay, as punishment, even though most of them were already dead, incidentally, and then wondered, okay, oh, when they got busy and of course children were born and didn't care about the kids. And then so many years later, they let a few out by the barrier and then treat them really, really badly, incidentally. Okay, so, okay. And then you find out the fairy godmother, the actual fairy godmother, yes, did this to the Tremaines. The stepmother, Gisella and Anastasia, okay, is that like Miss Havisham, they're stuck in this house, they can't leave this house, and not because, so basically the chateau's falling apart, and rumours are going on about them, and in all this, Lady Tremaine is being driven a little bit more insane by all this, because hey, she can't leave her chateau, because the fairy godmother put a spell on the chateau. They physically cannot leave it, they are stuck there. You know, like in Ghosts, both versions, BBC and the USA version, they're kind of trapped to the land. Yeah, and hey, right, so well, they're beyond redemption. They're absolutely beyond redemption. Here we are. Right. A betrayment on the Tremaines and Cinderella said they would never meet again. So the Tremaines are trapped by the house. Right. And this is, oh, by the way, the girls, Red Anastasia's nanny, briefly came to one of the fairy godmother things, which went over my head. Absolutely not. I didn't care about that. I didn't really care about a fairy war after book 8 in the series. There wasn't even like a little prologue thing. Like in most Disney films, okay, like once upon a time in a faraway land, a young prince lived in a shining castle. And Cinderella has one as well. Okay. No, it's just throw me in at the deep end in book 8 and expect me to even care or even know what it's going on about. I don't. I absolutely don't. Okay? But of course, this isn't Cinderella's story, it's Lady Tremaine's. Okay? Lady Tremaine lost her husband early in their marriage and was left to care for two young daughters of her own. Unlike most women in her circumstances, Lady Tremaine was well provided for. Upon his death, her stately lord of a husband left her a great fortune. That combined with the fortune she herself brought to the marriage meant she was quite a wealthy woman. But however, she had everything she ever wanted, but she didn't have true love. She didn't have true love. Okay, even though she had her two daughters, who she loved, you know, most of the time. Okay, due to the fact this is set in the Victorian era, right? So actually, Queen Victoria is even named up to one point. So basically, the Fairylands is real, and so is London. Incident is where it all takes place, right? It's where they first meet um, Sir Richard, okay, from the Magical Kingdom, right? And then here we are, okay. Giselle and Anastasia were 11 and 12, respectively. Neither of them looked like their mother, nor their father for that matter. The girls couldn't have been more different from their stately mother. While Sadie Tremaine was very angular and severe looking, she was still a very handsome woman. Her daughters were all points and edges, all legs and arms with gawky necks, bird-like faces and bulging eyes. Right. They would have made remarkable witches, those two. That is no story. That never happened, though. It would be very intriguing to explore. That is a reference, by the way, to Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time. I have actually seen that, and I did actually enjoy that because Cinderella's got more of a backbone, okay? At least to the theory, okay, that actually Cinderella and Ariel, sorry, Prince Prince Charming, okay, and that is actually descended from Ariel, but anyway, so that is a reference to Cinderella 3 Twist in Time, okay, where the sisters get hold of the magical wand, bibbity bobbity boo, and that kind of thing. So I picked up on that reference quite quickly, okay? And the thing is, Lady May's going to visit a friend. She doesn't bring her daughters, they're having tantrums, and so she decides to leave them behind and go off on her own to the countryside, okay? just basically she's going to punish her daughters, okay, for being arrogant and bratty. At the time, okay, she's a single mother. She's surrounded by a big house full of servants, and the kind of people you would expect. But even though she kind of questions, okay, what kind of mother she is, and also is this bit here. Now, this bit here is quite poignant, okay. She feared she would be stuck with them in old age because they'd become so horrible. No one ever wanted to marry them. No, she wanted to relax and rest. This was her time, and honestly, all I wanted to do was forget all about her wretched little beast, at least for the rest of her day. Right. So she goes to this country estate alone, okay, and then she meets Miss Bramble, who tells her more, okay, about Sir Richard and the many kingdoms, the fairy kingdoms, Disneyland, okay, and this bit here, okay, is when now this got a chuckle out of me, okay, is when Lady May hears about the many kingdoms, okay, is this bit here, right? Miss Bramble said about this. Oh, you should hear the tales, my lady. Mothers dealt often die mysteriously and well before their time, and those widowers are always replaced with new wives who themselves meet terrible fate. Yeah, that it's actually true, isn't it? Step parents in Disney films always get kind of a bad rep. So, and I just kind of made a chuckle. It's kind of like the magic. So the many kingdoms know it's a magical land, and everyone's got a role to perform. And if you're a stepmother, you're a wicked stepmother, of course, of course, of course. Okay, of course, right. And it's here. All the signs are there. You're just a sort of woman to fall into one of these stories. Beautiful, rich, sweet, and kind. Tragically lost her husband too soon. But something will change, and you will change. I don't know if it's true, but it's the many kingdoms of the witches. But something can cause the stepmothers in these stories to transform into horrible people. Right. Alright, so basically if you're a stepmother and you go to the many kingdoms, okay, you will become evil and twisted because that's how it is in fairy stories of wicked step parents. Absolutely, absolutely. It's the trope. It's the actual trope. And when she finally meets Sir Richard, okay, oh god, yes, that goes into proper, just even the description of him, okay, is so fatalish, right? They make men like him in London. He was too perfect. Oh yeah, pick the word too perfect. With his finely sculpted features, his strong jaw and cleft chin, it was like something out of a fairy tale. Shouldn't be surprised if his name was Prince Dashin. Oh, how perfect he was. She had never seen such a handsome man possessing such an unmistakable boyish charm. Right. So, he starts courting her very, very briefly. Very, very briefly, okay, literally within a couple of days, and he starts to form. Essentially, he gaslights her. He gaslights her, saying, "Oh, well, my chateau, I have abundance of servants. Everyone will basically care for you. Everyone will love you. My daughter Cinderella will love you. Oh, I have an abundance of money. It's well styled." And then, and she's tempted, okay, but remember, she only knows him for a couple of days at this point, and he's like semi-courting her. He's gaslighting her. He's absolutely gaslighting her because he's an absolutely abusive prick, okay? He doesn't even propose to her properly or even formally, okay? It's all rushed because he wants to get his hand on her money. That's what it's all about. He wants to get his hand on all her money. This bit here, right? This is when, okay, they're at this party, okay? It's a great pleasure that I announce the engagement of my closest friend, Lady Tremaine, and Sir Richard of the Many Kingdoms. May they both be truly happy as they join their families. Lady Tremaine's daughters, Anastasia and Drizella, with Sir Richard's daughter, Cinderella. Okay? And Lady Tremaine decides to give her heart to this man, okay? Because remember, each time I play this game where fairy stories are real, and so she gets caught up in the fairy story. She gets caught up in the romance. She's hoping, okay, that this would be a good start for her. So she gets back to London, gets the girls, they go off to the many kingdoms, which I guess is France. Remember, it's Cinderella, okay, it's a French story. And actually, it's not a French story, okay, it's actually the tale as old as time being passed down through history. But Cinderella, hey, okay. So even if people try to warn her against it, okay, and she hasn't discussed it with her daughter, she's going to marry this man, okay, and right, and Severita says this to her, right, what he's saying again, we need to pack, I need to do this, I need to prepare, I need to get a wedding dress, okay, she just said, she, this is said to her, there's no need to bring anything other than your personal belongings, Lady Tremaine. My chateau is beautifully furnished and fully staffed. Your lady is maid and governess for company for you and your girls during the journey, if you wish, but won't need sorry, you won't be needing them once you are settled into your new home. But come quickly and with haste. I need you by my side. So she leaves. She leaves. She leaves London, okay? And it all goes badly for the moment, okay, her feet step foot into the many kingdoms. The moment she sets her first foot ashore, she is now the wicked stepmother. She is now the wicked stepmother of the story. And this book, seriously, if you actually read this book, as now I'm never gonna get married, which is absolutely fine. I'm not against the principle, okay? I just never wanted to get married. That's absolutely my thing. Okay? This kind of thing would put anyone off marriage. This is like a how-to guide on to not get married. Okay? Right. This everything about it is red flags, by the way. I mean, you're reading this from the element of hindsight. Okay? And as soon as she walks through the door, and there's no servants, there's absolutely no one waiting for them. The place is shabby, right? And so Richard's like, well, here you are. We're gonna get married right now. Okay? And by the way, the girls aren't invited. The girls aren't invited to the wedding. Right, they get to go upstairs, okay, and rest while we get married. Right, okay. I hadn't realised we were late, she said, her heart sinking. I would be wet today. The dress I planned to wear, the rest of our belongings, everything is still in the second carriage, it hasn't arrived yet. Right. Let's be here. Well, my darling, I can't install an unmarried woman who isn't a servant into my house. You must be married today, and there's no way around it. Oh, look, here is Cinderella now. And Cinderella, perfect Cinderella. Cinderella in this incarnation, by the way, is a total bitch, by the way. No, Cinderella's an absolute bitch. She's a horrible, horrible person. Okay, obviously, okay, she's had her father whispering in her ear her entire life, okay, of how precious she is and how beloved her biological mama was. Okay, and remember, this is set in the Victorian times, okay, where children were seen and not heard. If someone actually said to you, okay, this is your new mother, you would actually have to call them mother. But no. But the thing is, from the first bit, Lady Tremaine actually tries to be a good stepmother. She actually tries and says this, okay? Right. Welcome to my mother's home, Lady Tremaine, she says, smiling at her new stepdaughter. Cinderella's words stung Lady Tremaine's heart and took her by surprise. It would please you if you could find it in your heart to call me Mama, because I would so want to be a good mamma to you. Lady Tremaine tried to keep her face calm and was not to let the young girl know she had crushed her heart. I can call you stepmother if you like, said the girl. Papa said I may call you Lady Tremaine or stepmother, but never Mama. So Mama, okay? Right. And but the thing is, obviously, the wedding is very, very quick, and the moment, okay, it happens, Sir Richard goes off to back to court, okay, leaving his wife alone for several weeks, and um, the thing is, obviously, right, suddenly all the control of Lady Tremaine's life, all her money is now, the moment that she says, I do, is now Sir Richard, and he absolutely squanders it. He's a nasty piece of work, okay? He's the ultimate in red flags, incidentally, okay? And Lady Tremaine actually tries to smooth it down, okay? When the girls suss quite quickly, okay, that the stepfather doesn't like them whatsoever. He never even interacts with them, by the way. Not once in his book does he interact with his stepdaughters, okay? Right. Lady, Mama, why won't Sir Richard let us come to the wedding? Drusilla complained. Lady Tremaine couldn't help agreeing with her daughters, but she felt tiredness was clouding all of their judgments. My dear, we are all of us so tired from the long carriage ride, not to mention the journey by sea. Perhaps Richard is right, and you three girls can stay here and get to know one another. Or we go to the chapel. I bet he has a grand party planned for afterwards. Right. That's why I've not seen any of the servants. But no, that's not what happens. Okay? That is not what happens. The moment the case says I do, so Richard leaves to go back to court and leaves Lady Tremaine alone, okay? And with Cinderella acting like she's the boss of the house and basically saying to Lady Tremaine's face, well, you're not my mother, you can't tell me what to do, essentially, okay? And even kind of rubs, and absolutely is such a little cow, actually rubs it into Lady Tremaine's face about whose house it truly is, okay? Right. And even says the cage to Lady Tremaine, I hope you enjoy my new mother's home. So my mother's home, Lady Tremaine, she says, smiling at her stepmother. Right. And when everyone starts to smooth it down, okay, is this bit here, right? She says this, Papa told me that this house will always be Mama's, no matter was of lady of the house, right? But Cinderella is adamant, okay, that no, she's not going to do that. And then again, she's got the mice where she's dressing up in her little clothes and hats. So actually start doing her bidding further along. And when Lady Tremaine does her best, by the way, right? And when Lady Tremaine, now she's the head of the household, okay, because obviously it's her house. Well, she starts to get servants. She starts to sorting out the furniture, the ones sort of worn. She starts to basically make the house a home, okay. And as soon as Richard comes in, he's absolutely furious. He's absolutely furious to kill Lady Tremaine. He's furious to kill the fact is that Cinderella is not allowed to keep her mice. Oh yeah, because she's according to her father, okay. And he says this, right, right. Of course, her mice are different from London mice. Did you say she couldn't have her mice? Not to deny Cinderella anything she wants. Do you understand? She lost her mother, right? And then when it talks about the updo to the house, right? Richard says this to her because he's such a condescending arsehole, right? Right. It's a matter of expense, Sir Richard. Let me show you that the money I spent was entirely mine. Sir Richard scoffed. No, the money is mine. We are married now, and I will dictate how it's spent. To that end, where my wife's taste of things that you thoughtfully replace with all this garish rubbish. Right. So what Richard does is that he dismisses all the servants, okay, and says this, okay, let the servants go, and when Lady May says, well, who's going to clean the house, make the meals, and care for the children, right, it says this, you will, he said. Now, excuse me, I want to spend some time with my daughters. So, for years, for absolute years, Lady Tremaine was doing what Cinderella did, along with Giselle and Anastasia. They were the ones scrubbing the house. They're the ones cooking the meals, while both Sir Richard and Cinderella sat there gloating, goading them on, okay? Basically, Cinderella, oh, good, cute, kind, sweet Cinderella, okay? Dresses up her mice, right? Essentially was the one ordering Tremaine and Giselle and Anastasia around because, hey, Ines is an absolute cow, right? Here we are. Lady Tremaine's days were spent cleaning the entire house, scrubbing its floors, dusting, beating the rugs, doing the dishes, making the meals, polishing the silver, replacing the candles in all the sconces and chandeliers, lighting fires, doing the laundry, and more. Right. So, and when Lady Tremaine wanted to celebrate Christmas, okay, Richard's away, of course he is, because he's always away, because he only wanted the money, okay, whilst his wife and stepdaughters are cleaning the house, while Cinderella basically sits there gloating, okay, right, is, right, is this, okay, is, he, when he finds out, okay, upset, okay, about Solstice, he then says, oh no, Anastasia and Drizella are also going to, um, clean the house as well, while Cinderella completes her education. So all of them are doing it, right? Here we are, right? Cinderella continued her education and met the girls Gisella and Anastasia. Anastasia was close behind. It can't be serious. It isn't fair, said Cinderella. It shocked Lady Tremaine that Cinderella was standing up for her stepsisters. You're such a dear girl, Cinderella, and you turned into a beautiful young woman just like your mother. It's remarkable how much you favour her. Please time to present you to court. I had a long wish that you and the prince will eventually marry. Right. And when Lady Tremaine finds out about this, okay, is this bit here? I, I wonder why. I wonder that you just didn't hire a housekeeper, Sir Richard, because it's clear so you wanted from the start to Lady Tremaine. Right. Sir Richard scoffed. Housekeepers don't come with large dowries, and besides, I'd have to pay a housekeeper, he says, sneering at her. But eventually, okay, Sir Richard dies, and finally, it's Cinderella's turn to become a servant in her old household. The only one time, okay, she actually speaks up for her against her father, right, is when the solstice happened, because that is actually celebrated, because Cinderella wanted to celebrate it, and of course what Cinderella said goes, but that is the only time she speaks up against her father, the treatment of her stepsisters. So the whole kind of, oh, well, that is the only time. She spends the entire time basically being god awful, okay, to Gisela, Anastasia, Lady Tremaine, right, and now suddenly, right, when Sir Richard finally dies, right? Suddenly, it's this bit here, okay? Right. Because also in all this, oh, by the way, Lady Tremaine actually finds out that she's in a book of fairy tales, and it's her job to actually be the wicked stepmother, to be basically be cold and cruel and wicked. But one thing is also is that she has a brooch that actually was enchanted. The brooch she wears, okay, she actually wears it in the film as well. Okay, it's green. Is also enchanted, okay, to basically make her heart harder. So she's trapped. Basically, Lady Tremaine, okay, is trapped in this world where everything is being done to her, makes her heart go colder and harder. But there's absolutely no way to kind of get it off her. She's stuck fulfilling the role of the wicked stepmother, even though it's not what she wanted in the first place. She's basically condemned to this role, even though she was entrapped into a marriage, okay, by, remember it says, Cinderella's kind father, he wasn't kind, okay? And then this bit here, Lady Tremaine's fortune had been returned to her upon his death, and story was right that she had squandered it. If you call it trying to care for her daughters herself, right? But it wasn't any money. She was trapped. She was absolutely trapped, okay? And then when the witches show up, they say to her that you were basically condemned into this role, right? You were condemned into this role. You were destined to come here to the many kingdoms and marry Cinderella's father, and his abuse would turn you into a monster, causing you to abuse his daughter in turn. Right. We thought we could rewrite the story and make sure the brooch got into your possession. It would give you the courage to stand up to him. Right. Well, how the hell could she stand up to him? How the hell could she stand up to him, okay, when he had all the control? Every time, okay, she stood up to him, right? Oh, it got even worse for her. Yeah, of course, of course. But anyway, right, the story tale plays out. Lady Tremaine, um, the dress, everything that plays out as it should, okay? And then, thanks to the fairies' intervention, influence, interference, the Tremaines are trapped in the goddamn chateau. Because that's their doing. This isn't a fairy story or a good retelling of a fairy story. This story came a victim of abuse. I was disgusted actually reading this. Right. Not the fact it cares about Lady Tremaine, because it's called Cold Hearted, right? But the fact is, okay, due to the fairy story case she was kind of forced into, due to the fact Sir Richard, right, basically gaslit her, right, all these little red flags, and emotionally abused her, but then after all that happens, okay, being condemned by the fairies, okay, by the fairy godmother to stay in the chateau, she starts going steadily mad. Because can you blame her one bit? She's stuck there. She's very much like Miss Havisham. Forcing her daughters, okay, to wear wedding dresses, in order to have no suitors, okay, and driving steadily, going more, descending into madness. Even though none of it was her fault. She was trapped in this world. Right, let's be here. Anastasia and Gisela started to change. As the mother fell deep into madness and despair, they started to regret how they treated Cinderella. They saw the story differently through the eyes of a young woman rather than children. They'll sit up in their rooms at night, talking about their childhood and putting the pieces together. They realised that Cinderella wasn't being horrible to their mother as they thought in those early days. She too was just being controlled by her cruel and horrible father. Right. Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact, okay? It took Cinderella way too long to realise this, okay? And then it ends with when the fairies, realizing their mistake, right, come bursting through the door to free Anastasia and Drizella because Cinderella has actually written to them for help, again freeing her stepsisters. What the fairies do, instead of actually redeeming, okay, Lady Tremaine by restoring her fortune which she lost due to the emotional abuse of her husband, taking her back to London, letting her live her own life in peace, they do this to her. This is the final act of cruelty and it's absolutely disgusting and I don't care if it's being spoiled, it deserves to be spoiled. Right, here, right. I'll show you, right. What did you do, Lady Tremaine? I'll show you, said the fairy godmother with an impish smile on her face. She's exactly where she belongs. I put her down in a cellar, right. I decided, but I almost decided to put her down, sorry, I almost put her down the cellar, but I decided the attic would be better. There in the middle of the room was Lady Tremaine, forever frozen in time, a hand at her feet and a cat Lucifer, sorry, a hand at her brooch and a cat Lucifer curled up at her feet. You turned her into a statue? Yes, said the fairy godmother, chuckling as she noticed some mice had made a nest Lady Tremaine's hair. Alas, Lady Tremaine was cold, solid, and immovable, as she'd always wished. So after what the face did to her, by basically putting her in this world, right, making her part of this story, right, after dealing with her husband, okay, who abused her, after dealing with the fact, okay, that he basically wouldn't let her leave because by the rules she's now stuck in this fairy tale, instead of redeeming Lady Tremaine, right, he was then a victim of abuse, emotional abuse by her husband, who basically wanted gaslit her and only wanted her for her dowry. Oh, and a housekeeper, right, I turned to stone because she can't be redeemed. This book is horrific and it's disgusting, and I hated it. You've already guessed from this, can't you, from the tone? I hated everything about this book. The Fairy Wars, no idea, didn't really care. The fact is, okay, I felt sorry for Lady Tremaine. She's stuck in this world, okay, having to deal, okay, with a stepdaughter who was taking her cues from her father, right, who was absolutely horrible, only spoke up once, right, and the fact is that Cinderella decided after several years, oh, maybe we should do something, okay? Please write to the fairy godmother. Maybe we could do something about Giselle and Anastasia. Right. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Right. Cold Hearted by Serena Valentino. It's. I just read a book based on Lady Tremaine, which makes her a victim. Right. I don't think the Disney, because they own the IP and say Cinderella's a very, very popular character, really thought about this, okay, when they were putting this book together, how to make the wicked stepmother, who never gets a name, a victim of abuse, who doesn't deserve the fate that she gets in this book. No, she doesn't. And I'm signing off here. Bye now.